Good morning, you are joining me on a lovely morning in South Wales. We are doing another hill from the miners list, which is my list of the best hills in South Wales. Today we're going to do Cefn Gwyngul, 470 metres. Good hill this one. Parking in a very picturesque little place called Clanwano. There's not much but a pub. Especially quite a good one as well. We are not going to do a huge walk today. Should be quite a nice easy one as well. A lot of it's on forest tracks, but we are going to try and find a few interesting things along the way. I'm hoping to explore a Roman marching camp, and then on the way back dropping down into the forestry, swinging past a reservoir and finding a little known but very nice little waterfall that exists here as well. So it should be a really interesting walk. It's a good hill. It's a good one for a family walk because it's quite flat most of the way. I mean, it's a little bit of ascent, but I mean the tracks are good, wide forest tracks and all the rest of it, and it's a lovely place to explore. Lovely part of South Wales this. So it's only a short walk up a lovely country lane, woodland all around. So the amount of wildlife, the bird song, it's a really, really nice location for a walk. But we're now on a proper forestry trail, so we shouldn't be disturbed by any vehicles along here. And we can just follow this trail nice and flat all the way to the trig point. This is where we turn off to head up to the trig point. So we've only done just over 1.8 miles to get to this point, and the trig point is just around the next corner. So it's not a long walk, not a difficult walk, and because there's so many tracks up here, you can go in all sorts of different directions and explore as much or as little as you want. So it really is a good place. It's been fairly quiet. A couple of dog walkers, maybe 6 or 7 cyclists. It's a really popular area for mountain biking and cycling and stuff. But overall, it's just been me and the birdsong most of the time. And the forest track is very limited views for most of it, surrounded by trees. But now, as we approach the trig point, it opens right up and you start to appreciate that you are at 470 metres in the South Wales Valley, so you will have extensive views. And actually it's a lovely drive up here as well. It's a really nice part of South Wales and not overly visited compared to some areas, so it is a place where you can find a little bit of peace and solitude and an extremely picturesque area. So here we have it, Cefn Gwyngul trig point, 470 metres, and the views have opened right up now in front of me. The views are really great. You can see the Brecon beacons north of me, slightly shrouded in cloud today, massive wind farms in other directions. I think opposite is Cefn Gwyngul, one of the higher points in Rhondda and Taff as well. And yeah, just great views, really great walk. Only just over 2 miles to get to the trig point from the car, so a really easy one. And you'll see on the OS maps this trig point is behind a fence, but actually the fence no longer exists in this part, and there's a huge track running past the trig point. Looks very popular with dirt bikes and scramblers and stuff. So it is easy to access, absolutely no worries about that whatsoever. And the views are just fantastic. So I remember this hill when I first walked it, and had no doubts it's going to be on the miners list because it's a really nice one. And it's just such a nice area as well, parking at the church. Just a very, very peaceful spot, and I think it's a great place if you perhaps booked a meal in the pub to come for a nice little loop and then have a Sunday lunch or an evening meal. It's just such a nice part of the world, and because it's so dense with forest, you do get quite a lot of wildlife and birds and stuff. So yeah, really great hill. Notice I've put on an extra layer because it was getting a bit chilly. I'm actually using a new toy today, an external temperature sensor, so I know it's 8.9 degrees C up here and a tiny bit of wind chill as well. So yeah, fantastic hill. So you could just go back the way you came. You could take a little path down and drop back that way. There's a different route which is on my website to do this hill. So thewalkingkev.co.uk, you can see all my tracks, all my places there where I park, what kind of features are on each walk and stuff, how easy it is, the ascent, everything. So do check that out if you want to see a different way of doing this. But we're going to try and go north today because there's a Roman marching camp where they spent an overnight a very long time ago, but you can still see the remains of it. So we're going to try and find that. So I'm not sure whether to drop back into the forestry or to follow this big track and see if that takes me there. But we'll crack on anyway. So the track has hopefully taken me straight to the location of this Roman marching camp. It's been a really, really nice walk. Incredibly peaceful, loads of wildlife, which I tried to capture some of. But they're a bit wary of a man walking with a luminous green jacket towards them. I'm not exactly camouflaged for wildlife photography. But it's absolutely lovely part of the world. Incredibly peaceful. Just the bird song really, really loud all the time. It's nice open moorland, forestry everywhere as well. Yeah, definitely one of the better walks you can do around this area. It's a marching camp, which means actually it was just used as an overnight stopping point. So it wasn't a place they created to inhabit or look out or any kind of permanent structure. Just simply an overnight camp, hence why it's called a marching camp. But the Romans used to march in this sort of area, carrying big wooden stakes. So when they got to an area they wanted to overnight in, they would build a temporary fortress, use the stakes as defences, then take it apart the next day. But obviously the work done with the mud and the land here has stayed and is still supposedly recognisable. But it's a much bigger area than I was expecting. Again, when you're looking at Ordnance Survey maps, sometimes it's not hard to gauge how big an area is. I read online somewhere that this particular camp, where it was designed, shows that the army was afraid. So I know Romans didn't get on particularly well in Wales. find it hard to conquer the various tribes and hills and mountains. So yeah, a long time ago, a Roman army marched to this point for some reason, overnighted here, and built some substantial defences that are still visible today. So, for all of their faults, we hand another to the Romans in that they absolutely did leave a trace. So, another black mark against them. So I think here we have the evidence, according to the OS map, of the little low walls they would have built to put the stakes in. But you can see the scale of the site because the other areas are right at the tree line over there and down towards the bottom, so it must have been a really sizable army. But yeah, the views from up here are fantastic. And in this direction opens right out and we can see the central Brecon beacons. So if you are playing the Walking Cave drinking game, which is to drink a pint every time I say central Brecon beacons, then you get the drink right now. But look at those views. Absolutely stunning. And just between those trees you can just about see Cribben, Penyvan and Corndee. What a location. So I did wonder if I could wild camp up here. I found it on the map, looked like a pretty cool area. Nice bit of history here as well. It'd be quite cool to camp where the Roman army camped a couple of thousand years ago. But the ground isn't that promising. Maybe a small bivvy could fit here somewhere, but I'm glad I came this extra little bit of distance because yeah, the views from this edge here are some of the best I've had for a while. Really good. Well, cracking little detour, but detour over. We're going to try and head back down now, pick up a main track and drop further down into the main forestry and find a reservoir and then a waterfall, and that will take us naturally back to the car. So just a question of getting off of this marching camp and finding the main path again now. We took the most direct, but not necessarily the easiest path down. It's a little bit overgrown in places and the last bit was a bit wet and difficult to place your ankles because it's really long grass and tufts and stuff. But we're now back, as you can probably see in the background, to a decent, albeit very wet, rocky track, and this should snake us down towards the bottom of the valley, and it should be a nice long straight easy walk down to the reservoir, and then it's just a question of checking the map and finding where this waterfall is making sure we hit that fairly directly, then work out the best way back to the car. We just took over 5 miles now. We're approaching Clydach Reservoir, not too far from there now. Been following some nice open forest trails and tracks. Lots of water around. Obviously had snow and rain recently, so all the little streams are trickling past. And there's a sizable stream to our left somewhere down the bottom of the valley, which is obviously feeding the reservoir. So still a very, very peaceful walk. Hardly seen anyone recently, just seen one dog walker and one cyclist. So I think it's definitely a place you go off the beaten track quite easily and disappear into your own little world. Made it down to the reservoir now. Very nice little spot this. There is a aging sign as you approach telling you not to swim because there's danger of drowning and blue-green algae and leptospirosis, I think. So it definitely encourages you not to go in the water. But I have to say, the water that's running into the reservoir and around it in this kind of ditch thing does look very clear and very tempting. If it was a hot summer's day, you would be tempted to go for a swim or a splash in the stream at least. But yeah, I don't know if that sign is valid or just something to scare you off for even trying. That's Clydach Reservoir ticked off. Nice little spot to sit down, have a little break, have a drink. Just there was a guy who had lost one of his dogs, kept shouting and whistling for him, so it was hard to do any filming really. Just, he had no idea who I am, no idea how famous I am and stuff, and what a massive YouTuber I am. So, you know, I didn't want to say anything, didn't want to embarrass him, so onwards to try and find this waterfall now. Well, that's the waterfall ticked off as well. Nice little waterfall, that one. Not very well visited, I wouldn't have thought generally, but very nice nonetheless. And I think you could wild camp around here somewhere. It would make a great place to have a shower in the morning, especially if it was a Nice warm summer's day. So now all we got to do is head back to the car. But unfortunately there's not any routes marked on the map that sort of takes you directly back. So you've got to go a fairly long way around to get there. We have done 6.4 miles so far, so maybe another mile and a bit back to the car. So it's been a really good walk, this one. Very relaxing pace. Bits of uphill, bits of downhill, but nothing too taxing, and plenty of flat, nice, easy paths to catch your breath back on. Now this is a really good area. I highly recommend you come and have a visit around here. And we will be back at some point, because there is a bit of a conspiracy theory around hidden British history that centres on a spot not far from here, where apparently the Ark of the Covenant is buried. The thing that Indiana Jones found in the original Indiana Jones movie. So at some point we will be back to find something called the Lion's Stone, and then to have a look at this mound where supposedly the Ark of the Covenant is buried. But people who had written this, well, many books on the subject, do seem to be completely and utterly unreliable. So I don't believe a word of it, but it's interesting nonetheless. So you can see how far we've walked, because that is Cefn Gwyngul right over the other side there. So we've kind of snaked our way down and through the forest and up over here the other side. And we picked up the road again, and we're just going to head up over this next bit and then be back at the car. As I've said about 30 times in this video, this is a great place to come for a walk. So I highly recommend, if you've got OS maps, you just look up this area, park up and just go for a walk wherever you kind of fancy, really. Obviously I've ticked off what I think are some of the highlights of the area, but there's so much more to sort of see and do around here. And obviously the pub does it really good, so I might be back at some point with the family for a short walk to the waterfall and then up to the pub. This has been another hill on the miners list, so if you want to see my other walks, then check out the miners playlist. Obviously check out our website, thewalkingkev.co.uk, for all my routes and for the rest of the list which I haven't yet walked for YouTube. So if you made it this far in the video, congratulations, you've already stuck with it. Huge thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much.